Welcome everyone. Once again, we have a once again we are having Venerable De Hong with us, and so I'm going to quickly turn over the camera to Venerable De Hong. So we'll start with a Dharma talk, and then a sitting meditation, and then a question and answer. And then before we finish, I would like to share with you some of the work that Venerable De Hong is doing inside the prison. So let me turn that over to Venerable right now.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone, if you are in LA or Pacific time area, or wherever you are. So I want to start with the talk first, approximately 25 minutes. So last week, actually, let me go to... so last week we were talking about mindfulness meditation. But we mainly discussed the topic of what mindfulness is from last week, which is in chapter 13 of Gunaratana's book, Mindfulness in Plain English. And tonight I will briefly discuss and explain concentration, which is chapter 14, and some of the differences between concentration and mindfulness. But there was a question last week from someone about the monkey mind. Basically, the mind is restless, which is one of the 5 hindrances, which I will explain next month. Okay. And basically, the 5 hindrances are sensual desire, aversion, lethargy, agitation, and doubt. And I will also touch up a little bit on this graph, meaning the window of tolerance, which has to do with trauma. But I won't go so much into detail because, we are not doing, I'm not a therapist. And I'm not qualified to, to talk about some of the issues there, but I will touch up a bit on trauma, just so that because it has to do with your meditation practice. So mindfulness, when you look at it, is a mental quality. In layman term, we are training our mental muscles. So mindfulness is one of the mental qualities, and concentration is another one. During the Buddha's time, there was literally no distinction between the two, but because in modern time, and as for some of the newer members, people who are coming to learn about meditation, I think it's important to distinguish them. It's basic. Mindfulness and concentration are basically the 2 sides of a coin, or 2 sides of your hand. And last week, from last week's the graph or my drawing, I just want to add a little bit or modify my explanation of the state of our mind. Let's say, if you look at our mind in a horizontal line, meaning that our mind is constantly either busy with us or restless, wandering around, or both. That's the nature of our mind when we are not meditating, and also when we are not really mindful. So what is concentration? Basically, concentration is one-pointedness of the mind. But it has to be wholesome, because it has to be free of greed, hatred, and delusion. I need to emphasize here because someone could be focused and with ill intention, like to attack someone or to kill. Um, so when we are training concentration, we need to be fully aware and understand that this concentration has to be free of greed, free of hatred and delusion. So basically, concentration is a forced activity. We basically forced our attention to focus on something. Let's say if we use the breath as the object of attention, then our breath is the object of concentration. And from that, that's how we build up this concentration quality. What it does is that when we concentrate, it gives us this power to stay focused, meaning that our mind cannot be or is not interrupted or distracted. And you can look at concentration as an analogy of a lens, meaning that when we focused a lens on a piece of paper using sunlight, the paper eventually will burst or will burn. That's what it is, and it is basically it produces the intensity to dig deeper into our unconscious mind. And this is just an illustration of concentration, that with a lens on a piece of paper using sunlight, eventually over time, the paper will burn. So that's concentration. Now, we also need to be able to know the differences between mindfulness and concentration. And mindfulness is very delicate, is also very subtle, meaning that, let's say, when you are focusing on the breath, and the mindfulness is also at work, that when you dig deeper into your unconscious mind, that's, because after 20, 30 minutes, or when you go into a retreat after a few days, when your mind is settled without much of the thoughts, then you are able to get into the unconscious mind. And it is the mindfulness that understands what comes up. That's what I meant, because mindfulness is very subtle. It has this, what we call refined sensibility. And so with concentration, we focus on the object of attention, the breath, or the sensations in our hands, or a mantra or a prayer, or if you hold the hands together and just be aware of the sensation in the hands, or if you place your hands on your tummy and notice the movements, that is concentration. And what we are doing is that we use concentration as a tool to uncover, to dig deeper into our mind. And mindfulness works to uncover and understand what it is that we are seeing or experiencing. So for concentration to work, then we need an environment that is free of noise and interruption. That is why, in the monasteries where monks and nuns live, we build that just so that we we are free of disruptions or in distractions, I meant, or interruption. However, one thing to keep in mind is that in order for concentration to work properly, really to be able to reach deeper into the unconscious mind, then one must overcome the five hindrances. We have to overcome those. And so basically, for mindfulness, this mental quality, it does not depend on the physical environment or the condition, but concentration does. So know the difference between the two. If we let's say if I'm trying to focus on my breath in the street and or in the mall, right? So you have all kinds of distraction there. And it's not easy. But for mindfulness, you simply noticed the distractions or the disruptions. But in order to meditate in the street or in the mall, you have to be able to train yourself sometime before you're able to do that. So basically, mindfulness also another characteristic or function of mindfulness is that it understands what comes up, be it anger that comes up, noise, sound, or lust, or anger, or greed. So whatever that comes up in your mind, mindfulness understands that. But concentration focuses on the object of the meditation. I hope that makes sense. And mindfulness is aware of distraction and interruption. In what we call pure mindfulness simply means being aware of the flow of what kind of changes that are taking place without directly reacting or involving or commenting or questioning, none of that. And also with pure mindfulness, there is no me, or there's not anything that is mine, because you're simply noticing. So when you notice anger, you don't say, this is my anger, simply as anger. Or, when you're sitting, if you notice some sort of pain in the body, you simply noticed the physical pain, but you don't say, this is my pain. None of that. Also, mindfulness, when you are mindful, you're able to detach yourself from from desire or aversion that comes up. So with mindfulness, it sees everything as it is: your desire, your thoughts, your behavior, stress, and also how we create our own stress or suffering just because we identify with it. And this is how it will help us to pierce through the layers of lies or stories that make up our belief. And this is ultimately what we call wisdom. And it's only mindfulness that leads to wisdom, meaning your ability to see everything clearly. And the last point on this slide is that mindfulness helps you to be able to see through the layers of suffering basically mental afflictions. Mental afflictions here imply anger, hatred, or any negative feelings, negative emotions that we have suppressed or repressed. And also, we will be able to see the root causes of our mental afflictions. And eventually, that's how we free our mind from all of these mental afflictions. And ultimately, that leads to freedom or liberation, because once you understand the cause of your mental affliction, let's say one of them, then you free your mind from that one mental affliction, and then you just continue to work on anything else that is considered mental affliction. And also, mindfulness requires patience. You actually, when you're meditating, to be able to sit through that, you're actually cultivating patience. And it also means that whatever that comes up, you simply observe it and accept it as it is. And this is not an easy process, because we have a tendency to reject or to attach what comes up. So, and mindfulness, when we really cultivate it, it prevents us from attaching. It allows us to simply see whatever that comes up as it is, without reacting, without attaching or rejecting. And also, and so the more mindful you are, or the more mindfulness you develop, then it also means that you cultivate patience as well, because you no longer judge or react or question what you experience in your mind. Now, mindfulness also directs the power of concentration, meaning that every time your mind wanders away, mindfulness brings the mind back to the breath or the object of attention. So here, it can also mean that mindfulness is the manager of operation. As concentration, as you are able to focus, and your concentration is really deep, then it gets into your more, for the most part, your unconscious mind. And mindfulness helps you to understand what it is that you experienced. And this is what we call insight and understanding. And both concentration and mindfulness must be cultivated in a balanced manner. If you have too much concentration, then then it would be considered like a stone Buddha syndrome, because you no longer react to anything. You just focused, which is not a good thing. But too much mindfulness can lead one to be oversensitive. And keep this in mind, mindfulness is the foundation of your meditation practice that can lead to deeper concentration. The better you are able to concentrate, the less likely you will be distracted or interrupt, and both support each other. Here, Bhante Gunarachana offers some suggestion. Let's say for someone with the monkey mind, meaning that the mind keeps wandering from one place to another, then he said to use concentration practice, pick one object of attention, such as the breath, the sensations in your hands, or mala, or if you can have bare feet on the ground, just focused on the contact between your bare feet and the ground. Or if you have a favorite mantra or prayer, which, if I may add, Tina Turner, she used the phrase Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. She used that as her object of attention. And that was her practice once she took on the chanting and studying Buddhism. For someone who feels tired, or who has this what we call stupor, then take on mindfulness. Just be aware of the body or the mind, boredom or uninterested or unmotivated. Then use that. All you have to do is being mindful of that, but stay with the object of attention. That can help the mind from feeling bored or tired or dull. So last week we used the breathing meditation, and tonight I like to add the body scan as the practice, and then followed by the breathing meditation. And just keep in mind that when I didn't bring this up, something called mental noting or labeling. What it means is that, let's say when you were in a classroom, when you take note from a teacher, professor, we take notes, right? You can apply the same analogy when you are meditating. Whatever that comes up, initially you can label it. A thought comes up, you label it. If you feel itchy, you can label it itchy. I try not to use itchy because inside the prisons, a lot of folks, they didn't like that, so I don't use it. Or whatever sensations that you noticed, you can give it a label if you like. But we do that at the beginning just so that we don't react to it, because it's so easy to react to whatever that comes up, be it our body, be it anything that comes up in the mind, or let's say anger. If you notice that you feel angry, then label it as anger and then let it go. Come back to your object of the meditation. That's what we call mental noting or mental labeling. But over time, after you get used to the meditation practice, you also need to drop it. So what is it about about body scan? This is just a brief discussions of what you can focus on. Is that you bring your attention to the body. You can start from the top of your head all the way down to your feet, or the other way around. And all you have to do is notice what comes up, sensation, tension, right? Even in your forehead, if you do a lot of thinking, your forehead can be very tensed. So you just want to be aware of it, but it does help to maintain a smile. Even no matter which practice it is, you want to maintain a smile just so that first your mind does not feel bored, but the smile also can give you a sense of alertness and also feeling pleasant. I know that this is what we call, even this is also considered fabrication, but it is a helpful fabrication. After you get used to the meditation practice, you can even drop the smile and just simply, sit still and be focusing on the breath, or whenever that you are doing the body scan. So you can start from the top of your head, notice the senses, and then, go down to your body, the front, to your tummy, and then to your left and right hand, then to your back, then to your butt, to your legs, to your lower legs, to your feet. That's what the body scan is. However, just one quick note. Dharma Bhikkhu, he suggests to pay attention to the whole body as it is, and just simply notice what comes up instead of doing the part by part. But this is different for everyone. I just want to let you have another option, because sometimes when you pay attention to the whole body, if you're new to it, you may be at a loss, or you may just simply react to what comes up. So that's that. Now, also, if you are familiar with Yoga Nidra, they also use the body scan, but then I quote this, they just add and bring uh, the body scan practice further to include the five koshas or the five layers or the five bodies. I'm not familiar with this, but I just wanted to, put this out just so that um, when you have time or if you are interested, you can Google and read more about it. So actually, that's in time. Let's meditate. Let's take a few deep breaths. In whatever posture that you are taking, be it sitting or lying down. If you are sitting up, make sure that your back is straight, but not too tense. If you are lying down, then make sure that you don't fall to sleep easily. So as you breathe in, notice that your body may tense up a little bit because it takes an amount of energy and effort to fill your lungs with air. But when you breathe out, it takes no energy, and that is how you're able to relax your whole body. Just notice that. That's the process of the breath, especially when you are taking a deep breath. And take as many deep breaths as you like to relax your body and regulate the energy in your body. And allow your body to settle. And make sure that you are sitting properly in a relaxed posture. Then start with a smile. Notice how you feel when you smile. How that feeling gives rise to the physiological sensations in your body. And also notice that the feeling, the sensations are quickly fading away. And that's the nature of all the feelings, the sensations. And when you're able to communicate both your feeling and sensations, that's what we call emotions. And as you are sitting and meditating, your emotions are at the baseline because you're not reacting, you're not moving. And let's start with the body scan by bringing your attention, your awareness to your body. An analogy, you can think of your attention as light shining on this body of yours. Light does not talk, it does not react. It shows you what it sees. And all you have to do is just notice the sensations or tension or physical pain that comes up wherever that is coming from. But let's bring your attention to the top of your head. Notice your hair, your whole head, your skull, the back of your head, and then your face, forehead, both sides of your temples, your eyebrows, your eyes, eyelids, eyelashes. And let's be mindful of the spot between your eyebrows. When you are thinking, or when you are lost in thoughts, when you're meditating, that spot becomes tensed. But if you pay attention to it, especially with a smile, you actually relax it because you let go of the thoughts. You let go of the thinking when you pay attention to it or be present with it. So try that, notice how it feels. Let's go to your ears, earlobes, your nose, your nostrils. Just notice the sensations of the air comes in and out at your nostrils. Just be aware of the sensations. Your lips, your jaws, your gums, your teeth, and your tongue. See how naturally your tongue is positioned. And make sure that your jaws are not clenched or held tightly when you suppress your negative feelings and emotions. Your jaws tend to clench together tightly, or your teeth might be grinding. So as you are paying attention to it, try to maintain a smile to relax your jaws. Let's go to your chin and your cheeks, basically your facial muscles. Again, when you are thinking, even during meditation, your whole face can become tensed. So try to maintain a smile. Notice a smile does not cost you anything. Let's go to your throat, the front of your body, your torso, collarbones, your chest, your lungs, and your heart. See if you're able to notice your heartbeat. Let's go to your tummy, your lower abdomen, and feel the movements in your tummy as you breathe in and out. When you breathe in, air comes in, it is getting bigger. When you breathe out, air leaves your tummy, it is shrinking. And that's the movement in your tummy as you start to meditate. And if you are lying down, you can place your hands on your tummy to help you to stay focused and mindful and not falling to sleep. But over time, for a serious practitioner, you also want to let go of that, meaning you don't have to pay attention to the movements in your tummy. Let's go to your left arm, noticing your bicep and tricep. Basically, the muscle attached to the bone, the tendon, ligaments, all the nerves, all the veins, skin, connecting to your left elbow, your left forearm. Again, noticing the bone, muscle, tendons, ligaments, skin, and see if you're able to notice any sensation simply as you go through this process. To your left wrist, your left hand, all 5 fingers, fingernails, the ligaments on each finger, the contacts between the fingers. And do the same thing with your right arm all the way down to your right hand. Simply doing it slowly. Again, the key word is patience. There's no need to rush. And feel the sensations of your hands holding together or touching your body. And the sensations may be warm or cool depending on how where you place your hands. You don't even have to label it. All you have to do is just notice it, recognize it. Let's go to your neck and shoulders and see what comes up. Tension, tightness, or pain. Whatever that comes up, you can just be a little bit curious without reacting or asking why. Then scan your whole back, noticing your spine, your ribs, all the bones, muscles, tendon, ligaments, nerves, skin, all the way down to the tailbone. Your pelvis, your hips, and your buttocks. As you are sitting, just notice the contact between your buttocks against the chair or the surface or the cushion that you are sitting on. Let's go to your right thigh. This is the major muscle of the body. Noticing the bone, your muscle, tendon, ligaments, skin. Connecting to your right knee and notice both sides of the knee, the kneecap. Connecting to your lower leg, the shin, the calf, all the way down to the ankle, your right foot, all 5 toes, toenails, the ligaments on each toe, the contacts between the toe, the bottom of the foot, the pad, the arc, the heel. If you have socks on, just notice the contact between your foot and the sock. And do the same thing with your left leg all the way down to your left foot. If both of your feet are on the ground, then feel the stillness of the ground. The practice of the body scan helps you to be mindful of your bodily movements or tensions or tightness or anything in your body. And this is also a way that you learn about your body and know how to take care of your physical health. So let's do the body scan again on your own for the next couple minutes. See if you noticed anything else that you might have missed. Again, simply accepting your body as it is without wishing it to be anything else. Just noticed the chattering mind, the storytelling mind that gives you the stories about this body of yours. Try your best to ignore it as you do the body scan. Simply being patient and accepting. Let's move on and practice concentration by bringing your attention to your breath. If that works for you, or you can simply pay attention to the sensations in your hand, or you can use a mantra or prayer, whatever that works for you. If you pay attention to the breath, you can simply notice the sensations at your nostrils as air comes in and out, because it is noticeable. In and out. If your mind keeps wandering away, then to ground the mind in the breath, you can start counting your breaths. So for each in-breath and out-breath, you can count 1. You can go from 1 to 5, and then reverse count from 5 back to 1. This is simply one way to force your mind to be with the breath. And you can maintain a smile to help the mind from feeling bored or wanders away, if that helps. Whatever that comes up in your mind, thoughts, images, try your best to ignore it, allow it to be in the background. Or if you're in your environment, if you notice any noise, or sound. Try not to react to it. You can even label it as sound or noise. But stay with the breath, the sensations at your nostrils. The longer you are able to stay with the breath, the stronger is your concentration, the deeper is your mindfulness. Concentration here means that you are not distracted by your thoughts or sound or noise in your environment. That is what we call concentration. And your mindfulness simply is aware of all of them. So you're actually cultivating both concentration, mindfulness, and patience. And when you notice your mind wanders away, just gently bring it back to the breath. Try not to judge or criticize yourself. For the next couple minutes, you can practice concentration on your own in silence.
Venerable, for some reason, I'm not hearing your sound.
Oh, sorry. Let's check in with your mind. See how settled it is, how clear it is, that is less reactive, less judging, less chattering. Your feeling, your worldview, your mood, your attitude, your perspective, all of this come from your mind. This is how you check in, that it gives you a sense of self-awareness. Sensations in your body and your emotions, the qualities of your mindfulness, concentration, and patience. All right, that's all I have for tonight.
Thank you, Venerable. We will now move on to Q&A. Anybody on Insight Timer or Facebook or YouTube can ask questions. I should be able to see them here, and then I'll relate them to Venerable. Okay. Okay, so if there are no questions, then we'll move on to the last part. This is something that I like to do, which is to share the work that Venerable does in the prisons. I mentioned that briefly last time. Last time was the first time that we had a chance to work with Venerable. Venerable was born in Vietnam and came to the United States as a refugee when he was 19 years old. He was actually a practicing engineer for a long time, had a bachelor and a master degree in computer engineering, and also
Electrical.
electrical engineering, and also managed to get an MBA along the way. He actually worked many years and eventually sponsored the rest of his family to immigrate to the United States, including his parents and also his other 6 siblings. And then eventually he was interested in Buddhism, was studying Buddhism on his own, and decided that after his father had passed away, decided that he wants to renunciate, and he became a monk. He actually his life is very different from perhaps some of the monks that you know. He actually doesn't have a temple. He doesn't work in a temple. He actually still lives in his mother's house. His mother has passed away already, but and then he spent every day, basically all his time working in the prison system, either visiting the prisons. He visited about 5 prisons every week, and working with the incarcerated individuals there, basically doing exactly what we're doing now, practicing meditation, both mindfulness meditation and what we would call loving kindness meditation. So I wanted to do a couple of things. One is that I wanted to talk a little bit more about his work by way of sharing with you a letter that he received from the students inside the prison. But also in the process, I'd like to see if anyone here would be interested in making a small donation in support of Venerable's work. This by itself is a spiritual practice, practicing generosity, practicing compassion, but that comes later. Last week, actually, we had, without even asking, we had almost $100 donations from everyone, and then we managed to match that. So we actually donate about $200 to Venerable a month ago, and that really was very important for his work. In addition to paying for gasoline and insurance for his car, and once a month when he has to travel into the desert, which takes about 3.5 hours, he actually stay in a motel overnight, so everything costs money. But actually the biggest expense is perhaps the books that he buys to send into the prison for the students, as well as the stamps that he donate to the students so that they can write him letters. Turns out everything is very, very expensive in the prisons. Our first class stamps that we buy outside is let's say 50 cents. It's a lot more when you buy it inside, right?
Yeah, well, it's 63, but people inside they make 8 cents an hour or 10
Uh-huh.
cents or 20 cents an hour. That's the thing.
Yeah. So let me go ahead and share this letter with you. Venerable, can you pop up the PowerPoint again? And then I just read it. And then I'll kind of explain the context of this letter.
Oh, the letter?
Yeah, just put that, the last page of your PowerPoint.
Oh, okay. Well, I didn't include it, but I can do it here. I can go to my messenger.
Yeah, just pop it up. Yeah.
Okay. Right there.
Okay. Anyway, this letter was sent by one of the students inside the prison. The name of the prison is called CIW, California Institute for Women. Now, some of you might not know, but it's actually quite famous. About maybe a month ago, a very famous incarcerated individual was released from the same prison. A woman by the name of Leslie Van Houten, who was a follower of the Charles Manson. And she was actually convicted for a double murder back in the 70s, and was actually sentenced to die, but which was overturned because California decided not to execute. Then eventually he was actually one of Venerable students, comes to his class every time that he's there. And an example of someone who can be, what do we call? Rehabilitated, right? Rehabilitated. I think that's what we call it. And so, so this letter is sent by another incarcerated individual, a woman, who's been there for a long time. And I'll just go ahead and read it. Hello, Dee. I want to express my many thanks for hosting the Buddha birthday event at CIA. This was my second time, and it was as wonderful as the last time. The questions and the activities gave me the opportunities to learn about myself and my peers. I learned about the importance of recognizing one's strength and limitations. I learned about compassion for others and for myself. After all, compassion for others starts with oneself. The volunteers were awesome. They were humble, generous, and thoughtful. Please let them know how much their kindness is appreciated. Thank you for your continuing dedication and support to the CIA population. You are such a great facilitator. Thank you for making each of us matter. Thank you for supporting my healing journey. And go ahead and take that off. Yeah. I think this speaks for the work that Venerable does, and it actually speaks for the importance of the work that he's doing here. He talks about mindfulness, and I often think about mindfulness as just knowing where your mind is. It's as if I am a money manager, and you come to me and says, Danny, I just retired. I got all this money, and I need to invest. And I said, I'll be happy to do that. This is my job. This is my profession. So where do you put your money now? And you said, I have no idea. What do you mean you have no idea? Yeah, I know I have a lot of money, but I don't know where they are. Well, that's how we that's how we are with our mind. We don't know where our mind is. And mindfulness is just a technique that allows us to anchor our mind somewhere. And as it turns out, this is very important for healing, especially those who are incarcerated, who are there for one reason or another. Many of them are murderers, that they had committed very serious sin and crime in the past, and they're living in a very violent environment, but they want to be rehabilitated, just like everybody else. And mindfulness is the first step in anchoring the mind somewhere, so they're not consumed by the anger, and then eventually rehabilitated. Thank you, Rosa. For some reason, my tongue is very twisted today. And then at the same time, we not only teach them about loving kindness, compassion, and empathy, but we also demonstrate to them that the importance of compassion, kindness, loving kindness, and empathy. And I think from this letter, you see the power of empathy, right? So very often we remind ourselves that we're not there. We're not just bringing tools to them, right? Say, okay, just like mindfulness, it will solve all your problem. Instead, we just treat them like individuals. We treat them like human beings. We sit next to them and we listen to them, or we talk to them without judging them. And this is something that is very, very powerful. And this is something that we try to learn here. So I want I will continue to do that. Every time we get together, I will pick a letter from some of the students inside the prison and share with you the quality of the work that Venerable does when he's inside the prison. And the same work that he does inside, he's bringing back out to us. So the only difference between us and his other students is that we think we have a lot more physical freedom. But in fact, we are spiritual prisoners just the same. So with that, I thank you for all the donations. All of them would be matched dollar for dollar. And I will send them to Venerable to support his work. And the next time we meet would again be the first Wednesday of the month. And let me look at my calendar. And it would be the 6th of September.
Is it 7? Is it 6 or 7? 6, right?
My calendar says 6.
Okay. Yeah, never mind.
Okay. So we will continue to do this once a month. I thank all of you for attending. I hope you're well. And
Thank you.
for those of you who attend my Saturday class, I'm back. I'll see you soon. Okay. And by the way, we have 104 meditators today on Insight Timer, not counting those who are on YouTube and Facebook, as well as Zoom. Okay. So with that, I'm going to turn off Insight Timer, and I'll see you all next week, and I'll see you all on Saturday. Okay. Let me turn off the Insight Timer first. And then for those who are on Facebook and YouTube, I'll see you back here tomorrow morning in the Cantonese class. I'll see you on Saturday morning for the English class. And I'll see you all back in 1 month with Venerable De Hong.